Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornblut, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
There are very few one-hit wonders. They've, made their mark by creating a familiar environment for themselves and getting deep into postseason play. And I don't think we're any different.
Raise your hand if you pick Yale. If you pick Yale to beat Baylor today in one of the big upsets in the early portions of the tournament, look at the corn. Who amongst us was smart enough to pick Yale? Then again, I did pick Texas Tech to win. And old Tubby let me down again. Yeah, that's the way it goes in the NCAA tournament. You win some and you usually lose a lot. Hope your day's going well with the tournament so far. Good to have you with us here on Sports Talk. Phil Kornblut and the Professor Tom Hayes. Larkin Belton here. Kevin McCrary, as is his wont, is taking the night off. Let's see. Is this today officially St. Patty's Day? And because he has an MC in his name, I think he thinks he's Irish.
You mean M and Lucy?
However he wants to spell it, he's got it, and I think he thinks he's Irish. Thus, he thinks it's a holiday. So he's not here, but we're here, and that's really all that matters. And you're there, and we invite you in at 800-956-7266. How's your bracket looking so far, Pro?
Well, 2 blow-ups. I, like you, picked Tubby. I thought they would at least win a game, and then I picked Baylor. But I should have picked Yale. I had a feeling Yale would win for 2 reasons. Scott Drew will blow a game. This is the same Baylor team that lost to Georgia State last year. And the fact that we knew Duke would catch a break with their limited numbers, and they wouldn't get the team with the deep bench as Baylor, they would get Yale. But remember, Yale, I think, played them tight for about 30 minutes in a non-conference game they played at Cameron. So be interesting to see what Yale does this time.
Let's see. I got Virginia, of course. I missed on Texas Tech and Butler. Did Purdue win?
They're still playing, and they're the kind of a tight one. With I think early in the second half that they were actually behind the Arkansas Little Rock.
I've got Kansas and UConn through. That's good. Let's see who else has played so far today that I've gotten right. I'm just very proud of that Yale pick over Baylor. That's a 5-12, and you go out on a limb there a little bit, but there's going to be 5-12 upsets. There are every year.
At least one.
At least, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so that was the one I kind of eyed. So I feel good about that.
You didn't see Tony Bennett passed out.
I did see I saw the video. All right, coming up tonight, Dawn Staley, USC women. We were out at USC football. We'll talk about that, and we'll have coverage of that for you. USC baseball with Chad Holbrook, and Citadel football tonight as well here on Sports Talk. All right, let's do the basketball scoreboard update. Then we'll get into other things. We got a lot of stuff coming your way tonight, starting at 6:30. We'll hear from Dawn Staley. We were over at the USC press conference today leading into the women's tournament, first and second round in Columbia. They do a great job over there with the NCAA and USC arranging that and putting that all together. On top of the fact they've got an NIT game Monday night at 9 o'clock now. USC will play Georgia Tech, 9 o'clock. Apparently Georgia Tech played extremely well last night in beating Houston.
They destroyed Houston. They were up by 26 at one point, I think.
And the Gamecocks, of course, will be shorthanded. And, of course, the news came out today that 2 of the suspended 5 have been arrested. In this situation, after reading the story in the state paper, which tracked down the police records, this appears to be a lot more serious than I thought on the surface when the charges first were when the suspensions were first announced and we started hearing, something about a BB gun and shooting up I'd heard shooting up a dorm room and da-da-da-da. This, according to the police reports, the 2 guys that were arrested, Cobb and Gregory. Yeah, they were investigating a series of incidents in neighborhoods around the university and traced it back to these guys, or at least those 2. Now, the other 3 have not been arrested. The other 3 suspended. But now these charges, if true, would be hard to at first I thought, give them PTI and teach them a lesson and reinstate them to the basketball team. But these appear to be much more serious charges than that. And I could see to an eventual dismissal from school and obviously from the basketball program for at least those 2, which would be a shame because as freshmen, both of those 2 basketball wise showed promise, especially Gregory. I mean, he showed some tremendous athletic skills, the chances that he got to play.
Yeah, but it worries me. I mean, as I told you, my dad was a hunter and he taught me how to shoot or whatever. And boy, he really preached to me even about a BB gun and how dangerous it could be to put an eye out or do something, that sort of thing. You kind of figure, you get to this age and there's another reason, people. And I'm not saying that was the reason, but here's another reason that you don't have underage drinking. Now, I don't know whether they're drinking when they're shooting, but normally when you're that age, you do stupid, dangerous things anyway, and then under the influence of maybe alcohol or whatever, you do it. But yeah, Corn, I thought these charges were a felony. I really did. I would have treated it a felony because one person was in the car, I guess, when one of the BBs was shot, but they say it's a misdemeanor. Somebody would have to explain to me how that's a misdemeanor.
Not only that, though, I mean, the investigation goes into some burglaries and things happening in an area near the university in a residential area. So this thing has gotten deeper and deeper as time has progressed. Unfortunate for USC basketball. On top of that, you had the news come out last night out of the Lawrence newspaper of the arrest of Clemson cornerback Caleb Chalmers, the Greenwood native, arrested on drug possession charges. GoLawrence.com first had the story that Chalmers was arrested Monday night in Clinton, possession of marijuana, possession of drug paraphernalia, unlawful possession of a Schedule II controlled substance. Chalmers, according to the incident report, had a quantity of marijuana in the groin area of his shorts and a digital scale in the back seat of his vehicle. And while searching the car, officers located 5 capsules of some sort. What is that? Vivance? Help me out. You know that? You know that name? Vivance, never heard of it.
I don't even take aspirin.
And an alprazolam pill. All right, that's what he was found with. A release from jail on Tuesday. So we'll see what happens with that. Also coming out last night, former Citadel and Clemson outfielder Brad Felder indicted on federal drug charges. 26 years old, he pleaded not guilty in federal court Tuesday to the charge of conspiracy to distribute marijuana and the drug known as Molly. Orangeburg County native, initially indicted July of 2015, indicted again on March 1. Court documents say federal agents seized nearly $1.8 million from Felder. He was out on a $100,000 bond on the initial charge until a court found in February that he was sending threatening text messages to co-defendant Everett Rhett Berry. His bond was revoked earlier this year. He's now being held in the Lexington County Detention Center. Dick Harpootlian is his attorney. He played 3 years at the Citadel, then transferred to Clemson, where he hit a home run in that playoff loss to the Gamecocks that year. He was not drafted by the majors, hit 25 home runs over his college career. Do you remember Bradley Felder?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the kind of news that we don't like to talk about, but there it is for you. Coastal Carolina and Furman have their opponents for the next round of the CIT. Coastal Saturday at home at 2:00 against New Hampshire. The New Hampshire, what
is
are
it
they?
Catamounts, is it?
No,
I'm
that's
not sure.
Vermont.
Oh, yeah,
the
that's
New
right.
Hampshire. Come on, very common name.
Not Tigers,
No,
not Bulldogs.
very common. Keep going. Very similar. Used a lot. Big Blue.
Nation.
Wildcats. Yeah, the New Hampshire Wildcats.
New Hampshire Wildcats.
Furman will be at home 2:00 Saturday at Timmons Arena to play Louisiana Lafayette. Raging Cajuns in round 2 of the CIT. Now, to today's.
They wanted to be called the University of Louisiana, and LSU refused to let them have that.
Did they?
Yes.
Let's give you the updated scoreboard from the NCAA tournament. Kansas has put 100 on the board against Austin Peay, 100-72.
Let's go.
3:26 to play. Purdue up on Little Rock. That's Arkansas Little Rock, not Little Rock, South Carolina. This is a 5 versus 12. 52-42 Purdue. 8:38 to play there. Let's see. I think everything else has gone final. Duke, you're not going any farther, Dukies. Then again, they're playing Yale and not Baylor, even though I predicted Yale to win that game. Most picked Baylor, and most picked Baylor to beat Duke in round 2. Now, will Yale beat Duke in round 2?
No.
Duke beat Wilmington 93-85. It was a battle to the end. Wilmington had the ball late, down 5, and had like 3 or 4 shots from the outside and inside and couldn't get it to drop. Grayson Allen had 23 points for the Dukies, so they advanced. Connecticut rallies to beat Colorado 74-67. They trailed much of that game. Butler beat Texas Tech 71-61. Yale over Baylor 79-75. McKay Mason had 31 points and 6 rebounds for Yale.
I think it's Mackay Mason.
Okay, good.
11 for 11 from the free throw line, by the way.
Iowa State beat Iona 94-81. Virginia crushed Hampton 81-45. Anthony Gill, think he made the right move from South Carolina to Virginia. 19.7 rebounds, 4 assists. And during that game, Coach Bennett for Virginia almost passed out.
Mm-hmm.
He had to leave the court to deal with some lightheadedness and dizziness, I guess. But he's fine.
Have to have some fluids and a defibrillator around when he and Roy Williams standing on the sideline.
Yeah. I think that's everything, right? I covered all the games.
But Roy Williams has vertigo, so we know what his problem is.
All right, games are still to come tonight in the NCAA tournament. Seton Hall, Gonzaga, Southern Cal, Providence, Kentucky, Stony Brook, Fresno State, Utah, Wichita State, Arizona. I'm taking Wichita. There's another one. I'm going down the limb, 11/6. North Carolina, Florida Gulf Coast, Buffalo and Miami, Chattanooga and Indiana. That is what is ahead. We'll be right back. One of our highly intelligent callers just called to explain what those drugs are. I cannot read Larkin's writing here. You know, that chick, he writes in, what's that Greek? What's Greek called? What's their language called?
It's called Greek.
No, it's called, no, it has a name. Anyway, I can't read it. Let's see here. Where we go. Here we go. The alprazolam pill, alprazolam. That's probably not how it's pronounced. It's probably pronounced alprazolam, because, you know, medical terms, they kind of have a different emphasis on syllables than you would think. I would say alprazolam, alprazolam. That's probably what it is. It's probably alprazolam. Give this guy an alprazolam pill. Anyway, he says it's Xanax. It's like a tranquilizer.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the other one is probably pronounced Vyvanse. I was going to say Vyvanse.
Was it Vicodin?
It's an amphetamine that helps you with ADHD. But also in the past, we've heard of that kind of medicine being used, right, to help kids who don't have ADHD. But I mean, those who use it kind of gives them energy or something, gives them like a burst. So if they're studying late, studying overnight or whatever, or going on a long drive, you take it to keep you alert, something like that.
See, you know, one of the interesting thing about when people talk about taking drugs for this, that, and the other, they assume that everybody there is a normal. My contention is no human being is quote unquote normal or average. A lot of people with ADHD are very creative people, and some people are not creative or don't have it. So, I mean, so to me, I don't know why the drugs to adjust behavior, it just freaks me out. Or, well, you know, they got to have a pill for everything. Well, this kid runs around, right? Give him a pill. The kid sits around all the time. Give him a pill so he can jump up. I mean, come on.
All right. Let's see. What else do we have to tell you about? Over at USC practice today, we'll hear from some of the offensive folks once they come off the practice field. I'll give you a couple of observations. We were able to watch, first they closed practice and they went through some drills. Then they went into their flex period. They opened it up, and then they let us watch, I think after period 3, we had to leave. So we got to watch some individual drills, and we got to watch some team drills. First thing is, now look, this is by no means a comparison to the previous staff, because they did a lot of great things, it's just the way they do things now. High energy. I mean, high energy. Coaches are very much hands-on, motivating. There is no downtime in the practice. You go from individual drills to team drills. They're snapping the ball about every 10 or 11 seconds. I mean, they're getting off the ground after a play, rushing back to the line. They're getting that next play off in about 10 seconds. They are really pushing the tempo out there. Connor Mitch threw 2 interceptions, too, by the way, while we were watching. We'll be right back. Hey, some pretty significant news just coming out of Rock Hill. Rock Hill Herald reporting and confirmed by the school district there. Northwestern high school coach is leaving to go to Clemson. Kyle Richardson, really an outstanding coach with a fabulous offensive mind. His offenses at Northwestern, well, just look at the numbers that they put up over the years and the players he has produced there on the offensive side and defensive side too. It's a great program. He's leaving to go to Clemson as a senior offensive assistant coach. 58-13 in 5 seasons, playoffs every year. Offensive coordinator for 4 years before that under the great Hall of Famer Moose Wallace. Maybe Moose will come back and coach him. He was a Nike Coach of the Year of the Southeast in 2014, has won other awards. A really nice guy, too. Came from Florida. I think he came from Florida. And very good offensive mind from all I can tell. So Kyle Richardson leave. So Northwestern's job is now open. That is a plum high school coaching job in our state. That's open, and he's going to Clemson as a senior. Now, this is interesting. I mean, considering Clemson's offense and who they've got on staff and what they've done, they must be really impressed with Kyle Richardson to add a high school guy to their staff to continue doing, what they're doing. Now, keep in mind, Northwestern does have a great recruit coming out in Logan Rudolph, who's on the defensive side, and Clemson's has not had that much to do with him. I don't think there's any connection there. Clemson doesn't need to hire a coach to get a kid. No, not with their recruiting prowess.
And especially in football, one kid is not,
Yeah, well, this kid's pretty good now. He's big time. His brother's the quarterback at Okie State, Anyway, Kyle Richardson going to Clemson as a senior offensive assistant. So
where's the junior offensive assistant?
I don't know.
If there's a senior, there's got to
obviously Kyle aspired to get into college coaching, and this is an entryway to. This is what Bobby Bentley. Well, of course, Bobby Bentley was at PC, but we're talking big time college coaching. Bobby Bentley had to, do that advisory behind the scenes job at Auburn, to be able to get to the point where he could get over, get a full-time job at South Carolina. So congratulations to Kyle, and we'll keep an eye on what happens there at Northwestern.
Now, I was about to say, the interesting thing about it also is, let's face it, I think we've gone through an era where a lot of college coaches have been produced cookie cutter like, and some of them really have lost the element of how it is to teach. And sometimes hiring a high school coach, and they've had to nurture and teach guys. Maybe just the process of doing that is something that a lot of college coaches would like to have on their staff.
All right, coming up in just a moment, Dawn Staley from USC. I want to remind you that we're brought to you by the National Wild Turkey Federation. You can help make the world a better place through conservation of North America's greatest game bird and the preservation of our hunting heritage by joining the NWTF. Find out how at nwtf.org/rise-and-fly. All right, the USC women set to embark on what they hope will be another Final Four run and more. They want to get to that championship, maybe another shot at Connecticut somewhere down the road. The first 2 rounds of the tournament for the regional that they are in will be played at USC beginning tomorrow night. USC has the second game against Jacksonville. And today, all the teams held press conferences to preview the event and talk about their teams, including Dawn and a couple of her players. And we pick it up with the questions to Dawn Staley.
Dawn, of course, you've talked about the ultimate goal was winning a championship. The secondary goal was making the Final Four, maybe making that championship game. Now that you guys have been there before, how important is that here in this year 2 going forward, that you've already made a Final Four?
I think it's extremely important. I think familiarity is it's a great thing when it comes to NCAA play. All the teams that have been national champions. They're very few one-hit wonders. They've made their mark by creating a familiar environment for themselves and getting deep into postseason play. And I don't think we're any different. I think we come into this tournament for the fourth year, I believe. Fifth year, was it really? Okay, so our fifth year, just knowing what to expect. And that's why you see our players, they're focused in on the task at hand. Yes, we want to get back to the Final Four, and yes, we want to win a national championship, but there are steps before that we don't want to overlook.
Kind of the same line as looking back. Have you given yourself a chance to kind of reflect that, one of 10 wins your first year was Jacksonville, and now you're hosting them in the first year of the NCAA tournament. Have you taken a step back and looked at that?
The 8 years ago, winning only 10 games, that's what fuels us as coaching and our coaching staff. We know what that feels like, and we don't want to ever feel that again. But that is the thing that keeps us going and keeps us motivated to sustaining what we've built in year 8.
Tom, what was the biggest change, especially on defense in Jacksonville those last 2 games? Was it a tweak, or was it really just you guys felt like you had a chip on your shoulder and you wanted to play hard?
It was the chip. It was a chip. I don't think we put anything any differently. I think what our players did was they just put energy behind what they were doing. And, obviously it was, hearing about us being the underdogs. So, and, we play that role extremely well. And I think we're going to continue to play that role because I don't think, from a analyst standpoint, if you listen to the voices of our game, we're not one of the teams that they think can beat UConn. So obviously we'll plant that seed in our players' heads as we head into, this NCAA tournament. But I believe we have enough on our roster to get it done. And we're starting to play our best basketball now, and this is the perfect time.
Don, what kind of tournament does Tiffany Mitchell have to have for this team to be successful? And do you think that she feels any of the pressure, even though publicly she won't say she does?
I think Tiffany is a player that you need in a tournament. I think she kind of flew under the radar a little bit during the regular season. But when it becomes tournament time, she's got to play big for us. We don't win the SEC tournament championship without, her being Tiffany Mitchell. We've grown accustomed to her being that, and she doesn't shy away from the pressure or the spotlight to performing in that light. So she has to play, and she has to play well in order for us to win.
Okay, Dawn Staley, USC women's basketball coach. It'll be South Carolina against Jacksonville. That will come after the first game, which will be George Washington against Kansas State. And South Carolina should take care of business at home against these teams, I would think, and move on to South Dakota, Sioux Falls.
Now, just to make it clear, now I think at the beginning of the week we said it was a 7. Now they've moved it to 9. Or
who's this?
Talking about the basket, South Carolina's game.
No, their game's at 7:30.
Okay,
yeah, the first game's at 5. Yeah, the men's team plays at 9 on Monday.
At 9
yeah,
on Monday.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, men play at 9 on
Monday.
Monday.
Just wanted to make sure.
Against Georgia Tech, and no, the women play 7:30. First game tomorrow's at 5 o'clock.
So the men baseball didn't move.
No. Those who like baseball will go to baseball, and those who like women's basketball will go to women's basketball. It's a smorgasbord of sports for you. We're going to talk some All-Star basketball. It's All-Star basketball weekend here in South Carolina. We'll be at 1 this weekend. We'll talk about the other coming up. right, we're back in Sports Talk here on a Thursday night, brought to you by the National Wild Turkey Federation. Yes, I think I'll have a double after the show. You can help make the world a better place through conservation of North America's greatest game bird. That's what we're talking about. The breathing and flying wild turkey, not the kind that comes in a bottle. And the preservation of our hunting heritage by joining the NWTF. Find out how at nwtf.org/rise and fly. Well, if you're a basketball fan, this is your time of the year. You've got the big tournament underway, the NIT, the CIT, and here in South Carolina, it's All-Star Weekend beginning tomorrow night here in Columbia, the North-South game activities, and at the beach, the Carolina All-Star Classic activities with the talent display tomorrow night, the skills challenge, and then the games on Saturday. Let's talk about the North-South All-Star games here in the Midlands area. Coach John Combs from Ridgeview heading that up for the South Carolina Basketball Coaches Association. Coach, how are you?
Man, this is a great time of year, isn't it, Phil? I love it. I appreciate you all having me on.
Oh, yeah, basketball everywhere in the air. You've got a busy weekend. You've got the Coaches Hall of Fame induction ceremony tomorrow night, and then you've got your All-Star games.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really so much going on. I'm sitting here at the Wingate Hotel. I've got the NCAA tournament going on. Our North-South guys are finishing up practice now. We got a FCA banquet tonight where Jack Easterby is going to speak to the young men and ladies. And that's just the first day. And we're real excited tomorrow. We got a couple of each team gets 2 practices. And then we end the night with our SCBCA postseason banquet and Hall of Fame induction. So it's just it's a great time for everybody.
Well, you tell Jack that I said hello. Jack's an old friend of ours and have really admired what he's done in his career. My goodness. And what a message he can deliver to you guys tonight or tomorrow night.
He does a fantastic job. I mean, I've gotten to know Jack for a while, and he's very positive, very uplifting, and that's one of the things we want to do at a North-South weekend. We want it to be not just about basketball, but also trying to pour into these kids and help make them better people. The FCA does a great job. They feed us and take really good care of us and provide a good educational component to what we do.
All right, tell everybody about the games themselves, the tip-off times, and where folks can go to watch these young men and ladies perform.
Well, we start at 1 o'clock on Saturday at Lexington High School. The girls' game is at 1 o'clock, and then our boys' game is at 3 o'clock. I mean, it's at Lexington High School. It's a great day of basketball. We've got some fantastic young ladies from just around here in the Midlands area, from Spring Valley, Shantae Taylor. We've got Leon Hill from Keenan. We've got Bria Jackson from Keenan. We just got a lot of really good players, and guys and girls. I mean, the guys features Joseph Battle. Very truthful. I'm kind of surprised that he wasn't picked for the North Carolina and South Carolina's All-Star Classic. And Joseph is committed to, maybe he's even signed, but he's committed to Tulsa.
Yep.
And he just came off to winning the state championship, and just he's a phenomenal basketball player. It wouldn't surprise me to this time next year be sitting down watching him on the big screen.
Yeah, and tell us about the head coaches for the teams.
Well, we got the head coach for the North team is Mike Beasley from Blackville Hilda, who has been around for a long time, does a really good job. Our assistant coaches for that team is Jeff Manish from Berea and Barney Brown from T.L. Hanna. The head coach for the South team is Barry McFadden from Kingstree. He's actually was a long-time coach at Hemingway for a long time, but this year is moved over to Kingstree. And our assistant coaches for the men are Ken Howell Darlington, DeAndre Scott from Sockasty. They do a phenomenal job for us, and this is a great honor for them, the coaches as well, because they're selected by our peers. And you know, we got on the girls' side, we got Coach Sherry Hopkins from Clover, Reggie McLean from right here at Keenan High School, and Ronnie Robinson from Lancaster. They won a state title 2 years ago. And this one's kind of unique and interesting. The head coach for the girls' South team is Coach Aubrey Pompey, who also tomorrow will be inducted into the SCBCA Hall of Fame. I mean, he's been at Aiken for a long time and very well respected in the coaching community. He's had a lot of success, so we're extremely excited to have him. And our two assistant coaches are Stan Patterson from St. James and Cecilia Champagne from Baptist Hill. So we got a lot of great coaches and good players too.
It sounds like it. How's your bracket holding up? Because Little Rock just hit a wild 3 to force overtime with Purdue 70-70.
Well, that one would go to pot if Little Rock wins that. Yale didn't do me any favors either, even though I'm excited to see games like that. Of course, unfortunately, I've been on the other side of the bench when I was at the University of South Carolina. We were 2 and 3 seed. It's no fun to lose those games.
Absolutely. Hey, good luck to you this weekend. As always, thanks for being with us, and we will see you in a gym somewhere.
Thank you very much, guys. Y'all have a great weekend.
You too, sir. John Combs from Ridgeview and the South Carolina Basketball Coaches Association. Tomorrow night, we'll be down at the beach for the North Carolina-South Carolina activities. All right, to recruiting we go now. What a finish to that ball game. Now Purdue has taken a 72-71 lead early in overtime, but what a shot by Little Rock to send that thing. The shooter was going away from the basket. He took about a 25-foot shot, turned it into about a 35-foot shot, and he knocked it down.
But he had to get it over a taller guy. If you heard some noise, listeners, Matt, the newsman, both his parents graduated from Purdue, so he was upset when that three-pointer went down.
All right, recruiting. Receiver T. Higgins, big time out of Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Clemson has its sight set on him, 6'5", 190. He's also a very good basketball player, too. Of course, the Tigers have done well in Tennessee so far with Amari Rogers and Cordarian Richardson. Higgins, a Mr. Football as a junior, 52 catches, 941 yards, 28 touchdowns, 41 tackles, and 3 interceptions. He is drawing most of his attention in football with over 20 offers, including Clemson, USC, Tennessee, Auburn, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Michigan, Maryland, LSU, and Oregon. Just finished up basketball, so he hasn't taken any visits since attending Clemson's junior day in late January. No visits scheduled at this point. Clemson coaches have been in regular contact. He says they see him as a 9 receiver like Nuke Hopkins. And he's not narrowed his list. He doesn't have a timetable on a decision, does not have a favorite. He was once committed to Tennessee, but decommitted in February. Possible he'll return to Clemson for the spring game. Offensive lineman Eric Douglas of Charlotte has dropped Clemson from his top list of 8 schools because of lack of contact from the Tigers. Hasn't heard from them in several weeks. Missouri and Cal are now tied for the 8th spot on his list. USC, Penn State, Florida, Maryland, NC State, and North Carolina are the others. He's going to Maryland March 26th, Penn State March 28th. No other visits planned, and he's not sure which spring game he'll go to on April the 9th. Continues to hear daily from USC, Muschamp, Elliott, Bentley, keeping the contact hot with him. Not sure when he'll make a decision. Quarterback Braxton Burmeister, La Jolla, California, will visit USC on March 22nd for a spring practice and an unofficial visit. Also, this weekend, defensive back Stephen Montag, who visited USC earlier this week out of Coffeyville Junior College. He's going to visit TCU this weekend. Also this note, if I can find it quickly. I'll give you this. Well, here it is. Jordan Williams, the defensive end out of Virginia. Right now, his short list: Tennessee, Penn State, Wake Forest, Southern Cal, Notre Dame, Georgia, Virginia, and Virginia Tech. USC and Clemson had both offered him. 6'7" Justin Miller from 22 Feet Academy in Greenville has committed to Louisiana Lafayette. So you can go over and watch them play on Saturday in the CIT. There you go with recruiting. We'll be back.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Okay, we're back. Got a great one going in the opening round of the tournament. Purdue and Little Rock. Purdue is up 74-73 in overtime with 26 seconds to go. Buffalo out to the early lead on Miami. Come on, Hurricanes. Come on, Hurricanes. You're in the ACC. You don't lose to Buffalo. 15-8, Buffalo is on top. I didn't see this earlier, but I see it now. Not only did Dabo Swinney hire Kyle Richardson from Northwestern to be on his staff in a position that we talked about, senior offensive assistant, he hired Mickey Kahn today as well from Loganville, Georgia, Grayson High School, who was also Dabo's traveling roommate when they were together at Alabama. This came out today as well. Rams players were pulled out of class and notified of Kahn's departure to join the Clemson staff. And the official announcement is Monday. He's expected to be a defensive analyst for the Tigers, working with Brent Venables. He has sent several players to Clemson in recent seasons, including Wayne Gallman, Nick Schuessler, who originally went to Mississippi State, and Ryan Carter. Plus, his nephew is future Clemson quarterback Chase Bryce. Kahn is the only head coach in Grayson history, starting the program in 2000, 137-48 as the head coach, 7 region titles, 2011 state title. So, interesting moves there. Of course, he coached Robert Kimdichie as well when he was at Grayson a few years ago.
I kind of see where we're going now.
Where are we going?
Dabo brought in a young staff when he came in, had to make some changes. He comes in and he hired a big shot offensive coordinator who's now the head coach at SMU. He promotes from within some young coaches who learned under him, and it's worked. So now I think he's recruiting future coaches. When Venables leaves, somebody else leaves, hey, they're here. So I think he's cultivating.
But you can't take you're talking about Venables leaving and da-da-da-da.
No,
you're not going to take Mickey Kahn and promote him to defensive
No, I'm talking
coordinator.
about in the process of things, as he knows he may lose coaches along the way, he'll have guys who have been there long enough to learn the system.
I get that. I get that. Well, he has hired 2 of the top high school coaches in their respective states of South Carolina and Georgia. Not going to make the high schools very happy, I can tell you that. But, coaches, these guys, these young coaches, they want to get a chance to get into the college game and do what? Make some big-time money. I mean, they see what these college coaches are making compared to what you have to put up with in high school. So, Mickey Kahn and Kyle Richardson heading to the Clemson staff. We'll be back. Okay, we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Good to have you with us here on this Thursday night. Purdue and Little Rock. Little Rock still leading. They're in the second overtime now. Both teams had last-second shots at the end of the first overtime. Little Rock up 77-75, trying to put the dagger in a lot of brackets today if they do that. Let's go to a more sane sport, football. Talk some spring football. The Citadel is going to be the first in the state to the finish line in spring football. Spring game at the Citadel coming up on Saturday. Coach Brent Thompson overseeing his first spring as the head coach of the Bulldogs, joining us here on Sports Talk. Now, are you coaching football with one eye on the tournament or two eyes on your football team?
I tell you, I've got everything focused on the football team right now, Phil.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that. So how do you summarize how your spring went?
Well, I thought we had a really good spring. I thought we came out for the first 3 weeks. We had about 9 practices where we got after. We were pretty physical, and we got what we wanted out of those. This last week, we kind of backed off a little bit, getting ready for the spring game and kind of just fine-tuning everything. And then we saved a couple of practices for the end of the year, and kind of next week we're just going to get back into maybe going some shells and kind of get ready for the Mercer game.
What do you want to show your fans on Saturday?
Well, I think what you're going to see is the development of a lot of our younger players. Is Dominique Allen's our returning quarterback, so we'll give him a few reps in there. But to be honest with you, we're going to get Jordan Black, our backup quarterback, ready. So you'll see you'll see a little bit of mixture of ones and twos in there. Really just trying to develop our younger players. Our older guys, they went through a 13-game season last season. They kind of know what it's like, what it takes to be at the championship level. Right now, we're just trying to develop some of our younger guys.
Yeah, no sense, risking Allen out there in a spring game to injury or anything like that. You know what he can do, but when you have seen him out there and you've seen him out there at full speed, what has he showed you this spring? Improvement over what you saw last fall?
Yeah, well, absolutely. We've seen a lot of the same things that he could do in the fall right there, and he's making some more checks for us, and we put him into some more high-pressure situations. Always working on our passing game is something that we need to develop over time, and we have an older quarterback. You can trust him in the passing game a little bit more within our offense. So I think you'll see a little bit more out of us trying to develop that in the spring game is kind of, hey, let's put him into some situations where we have to throw the football a little bit. With Jordan, our backup quarterback, it's more like, hey, let's run our base offense with him. But give Dominique a little bit more of an idea of hey, when do we want to throw it? Where's a safe spot to throw the football? And, let's be careful with the ball. Let's make sure that we can move the ball down the field with him.
Now, this new love affair with the passing game that you're expressing, is this the result of Coach Houston being gone and you taking over? I mean, if he were still there and running things, would the program be looking a little more at the passing game too, or no?
Well, yeah, I think it's always something that we've got to develop and something that we've always got to work on is that no matter what we're doing, is if we can develop a passing game, we'll have both threats. We should be able to run the football. We should be able to run the football in a lot of tough situations there. And we're constantly looking at new things that we can do in the passing game, whether it's moving the pocket, new routes, some more three-step game, some more play-action game, things like that. Those are things that we can develop. Our run game is, it is kind of what it is. We're going to have our base, 4 or 5 different options. We're going to have our base kind of dive plays and our kind of predetermined plays. But really when it comes to the pass game, that's where the offense kind of expands for us. So
in the running game, besides Allen at quarterback, refresh us on who is back to carry the football. Now, I mean, you guys spread it out among a lot of different running backs. As I look at the stats from last year, you've got 7 guys last year who rushed for over 200 yards. So a lot of experience. And I know some of those guys are coming back.
Yeah, well, we're going to have most of those guys back. In fact, our fullback position, our B-back position, we've got all 3 of those young guys back. And Tyler Renew will be a senior next year. He's had a nice spring. Isaiah Smith will be a junior. He's had a good spring for us. And then Evan McField will be a sophomore. So we've got him staggered pretty good at the B-back spot. Our A-back spot, Cam Jackson is a second-year player. He's going into his 3rd year playing for us. He's got 2 more left with us, which is great. We kind of backed off of him a little bit and put Rod Johnson in a lot of situations. who we recruited last year, has 4 years of eligibility left that we're excited to have. And then Reggie Williams had a lot of carries for us last year. He'll be back for 2 more years, so we're excited to have him. So we're pretty solid at A-back. And then kind of a guy that's been coming along for us, and we expect to do some things in the fall, is Grant Drakeford. He's our 4th A-back. So we've got about 7 guys in the backfield, not counting Dominique, that we really think we can count on.
347 rushing yards per game for you. As you look ahead to the fall, I mean, what number's dancing around in your head? 400?
Yeah, well, if we can get to 360 or 370, and we want to throw for over 100, that puts us in a good spot. When we had this thing rolling at Little Orion, we were up around 370. If you're pushing 370, you're probably fairly balanced in being able to, for us, balanced in being able to get the ball in a lot of different guys' hands.
What about on the defensive side? What have you seen over there this spring?
Well, we've got to replace 2 key figures over there from last year's team, and Mitchell Jeter was definitely one of them. Jonathan King's done a good job there. We've transitioned some other guys to the spot to try to, maybe do it by committee for us. So Kevin Graham moved from a 5 technique down to a 3 technique to kind of replace that. And then at linebacker, we've had to replace James Riley, who's a great player for us. And we've moved Miles Pierce, who'll be a junior for us there. And he's done a good job there for us, filling in that role.
From what I've seen on Twitter at Citadel baseball games, they love to show the highlights of that football win at South Carolina, especially when the Gamecocks played down there, and I think when Clemson played there this week too. So that win is still in the minds of the Bulldog fans. But I mean, at some point, you guys have to kind of wipe the slate clean and look ahead to 2016. And look at that as obviously a brand new year with a new head coach and maybe a bit of a different approach, though you do have some momentum coming off 2015.
Yeah, as we say, that championship, that win over South Carolina, I mean, that's not going to help us next year. But we've got to find exactly what we did and maybe improve on it to try to get a little bit further this year. We feel that the program's in a good state right now, but we can progress this thing further. And I think that was part of the decision for me to want to become the head coach here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. We had a good season last year, but I think there's still more that we can do here, and I think that we can probably try to compete again for another championship and move on to the playoffs. Any
injuries of note in the spring?
No, and in fact, that's kind of one of the reasons why we started to back off late. Is we had our normal ankle and shoulders and knees and those kind of things, but everything is no major injuries. We've been fairly healthy. We want to try to get out of this spring healthy. And look forward to Mercer on September 1st.
Yeah, and you moved that game up. You're so anxious to play. You moved the game up a couple of days.
Absolutely, and I love that Thursday start. I think that's an exciting thing for our guys to be able to line up on a Thursday night, and then buy us a couple of days on the back end.
Yes, sir. Well, listen, enjoy the rest of spring, and hope the spring game goes well for you. And we will look forward to seeing you down the road, latter part of the summer, and on into football season. And we thank you for your time.
Phil, look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Brent Thompson, head coach of the Citadel, his first spring as the head coach. Of course, Mike Houston leaving after last season. What a great year it was for the Bulldogs. And sounds like they're just going to keep it rolling. Again, they got the quarterback. You got quarterback and Derek Allen, who is Dominique Allen, who rushed for 953 yards last year and 13 touchdowns. He also passed for 871 yards and 4 touchdowns. He threw 99 passes last year. Starting quarterback in 13 games, didn't even throw 100 passes on the season.
Well, most coaches and being on the staff, he understands that now after this successful season, everybody's studying your film a little bit stronger.
Excuse me a second. Miss it.
No, he's not missing.
Dang it.
But
I'm not rooting against Little Rock, but it's going to mess up my bracket if they go on and win.
If you Citadel, you got to know to throw the football this year sometimes because teams will be gearing up for the run.
Little Rock leading Purdue and at the line to shoot another free throw. They're up 84-81 with 19.8 to play. Ouch. right, Little Rock's up 84-83 in double overtime, 9.8 to go. Little Rock going to the line. Heck of a ball game. Sports Talk presented by South Carolina's 529 College Savings Plan. Future Scholar is the smart way to save for a loved one's education, and tax time is a perfect time to invest. Visit futurescholar.com. Future Scholar is administered by the Office of State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Coming up, we're going to hear from Kurt Roper, USC quarterbacks coach and offensive coordinator. He spoke with the media after practice. And we're also going to hear from USC baseball coach Chad Holbrook here coming up as well. Let's see. What in the world was that? Oh, my goodness. Purdue came down the floor with a chance to win. Arkansas missed the free throw, and we got a little lollygag shot there that they're screaming for a foul. You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. Little Rock's going to probably win this.
Oh, he just slipped.
Could have been a trap. Been a lot of slipping.
He just
Is this
slipped.
where Duke – did Duke play here?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he slipped.
Grayson Allen was slipping a lot out there too. Is that because of that paint they've got on the floor? Is that causing the slipping?
That probably is a kind of a contributing factor.
Let's go back to the phones here because I think Cockett's been holding since, was it last night or 2 nights ago we put him on hold? Last night. Okay. He's been holding since last night. And thank you for your patience, Cockett. Go right ahead and finish up what you were saying.
Well, I do have a lot more patience than them lawmakers over here who try to take care of our roads. Frank Martin got a contract extension because I've been hearing a whole lot of talk about it. Some of your other syndicated local stations been saying that he needs to get a contract extension. I kind of bear the difference on that. I mean, let the man get through with his last year of his contract and see that if we can hopefully to go to get a bid to the NCAA.
Purdue loses. Purdue loses, by the way. Purdue loses.
So, I mean,
he has not gotten his contract extension yet. The talks are ongoing with Ray Tanner and the representatives. I don't know if I can't tell you if it's a situation where everybody's on the same page and it's just a matter of getting all the numbers right, or there is I don't know if there's any disagreement about anything. I don't know.
Cockett, I will say this. Sometimes you have to look at some of the things that's happening on the outside. For instance, if he's got 2 years left on his contract and yet he's got 2 guys that recently, committed to him, that makes me think that somebody knows that something's in the work for a contract extension. Because if he
ain't got but 1 year left on it.
Now keep in mind, we're about to hit. He'll have 2 years going into this coming season. He's got 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
We're about to hit that time of the year where jobs open up and coaches get offered a lot of money to leave. And I think Frank Martin is happy in Columbia. I think he's happy with what he's built. However, he's a basketball coach, and he knows this is not a basketball town no matter what he does. And that can be a problem, keeping a quality basketball coach in your place. So, yeah, they need to lock him down soon and as soon as possible. We'll be back. All right, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Purdue goes down and goes down hard, and there go a bunch of brackets blowing up as well. North Carolina's up 14-11. Now, you know, I got the Tar Heels winning it all. However, for the purpose of self-satisfaction, I'd be pleased to see Florida Gulf Coast beat the Tar Heels, just for some personal satisfaction to see, you know, them lose as the 1 to a 16 for the first time. And by the way, Danny the Dookie in Florence, who's flaming me here on Facebook and all that kind of stuff, you're not going in. I don't care if it's Butler. I'm sorry. I don't care if it's Baylor or Yale. You're not going any farther than today. Yale, all hail Yale, will take you down on Saturday.
The Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs. All right, Sports Talk. Want to remind you from our friends at South Carolina Forestry Commission, insects and diseases, they can be moved hundreds of miles in firewood and threaten our forests, favorite campsites, neighborhoods, state and national parks. Help protect the trees you love by purchasing firewood at or near where you burn it. For more information, visit don'tmovefirewood.org. Coming up, just a couple of moments, we'll hear from USC's Kurt Roper. Right now, I want to welcome in to Sports Talk the Commissioner of Agriculture here in our great state, and somebody who throws a pretty nasty fastball, as we saw up in Greenville a couple of weeks ago, and it's Commissioner Hugh Weathers. I'm about to call you Coach.
Hello.
Commish, how are you?
Oh, man, pretty good. Yeah, I threw he called for a little slider the other night, so it had a little 12-6 action.
There you go.
It had nothing to do with lack of speed.
How's your arm feeling? Did you strain it, or are you okay?
I had to keep it on the ice for a couple of days.
Okay, you didn't put any foreign substance on that ball, did you?
You don't know what kind of substance I run into now.
We can only imagine. We can only imagine. Hey, it's good to have you with us because it's a big weekend, of course, here in South Carolina. And we just had National Ag Day yesterday. I know that was a big day for you and your department.
Yeah, it was. We had a proclamation from the governor, and we had quite a nice little ceremony there at the State House. Every March 15th for the last 42 or 3 years has been Ag Day. Of course, for us who like to eat, every day is Ag Day, but it's good to set a day aside and do that and remind people what farmers in South Carolina mean to us.
Oh, absolutely. We need them. We got to eat. And boy, a lot of them really were hit hard by the flood, weren't they?
They sure were. And I'll tell you, I visited from one end of the state to the other, mostly over in the PD area. Just so many counties with so many farmers whose crops were literally just underwater for months because it never stopped raining. And now it's time to see if we can shake off the cobwebs and get going for 2016, which I just got home and my nephew is planting behind my house now. So it's time to get going.
Absolutely.
For the next year.
Absolutely. Now, on the positive side, I mean, this has been a state that has been stricken with drought for a long, long time. And I don't know what's worse, a drought or flood. I mean, neither is good. But are we in better shape from that standpoint as a result of all the rain that came through?
Oh, sure we are. The water tables are replenished, which is a great thing because January is always one of our rainiest months. So we get that right ahead of planting season. Yeah, it's just we've never had a year like 2015, and they call it a once-in-a-lifetime event, and I'm going to hold them to it, whoever they are.
Yeah.
I never want to see this in my lifetime again. So it's just farmers. We are a resilient group, so we will press on toward the next season, and certainly expect that Mother Nature will not deal us another year like she did last year.
All right, now Saturday, big day for you at the State Farmers Market outside of Columbia, 5th Annual Commissioner's Cup Barbecue Cook-Off and Festival from 11 to 3. My mouth is watering just thinking about it.
That it's almost as long standing as Sports Talk. How about that?
Yeah.
Now, we have a good time out there. We've got nearly 50 barbecue teams going to compete for the Commissioner's Cup. We're going to have from 11 to 3 just sample. It's $5 to sample barbecue while it lasts. There'll be plenty of food trucks out there. Be things for the kids and families. So it's a great family outing there at the State Farmers Market. And the whole point is to remind people what for example, the pork industry means to South Carolina. So just a great promotional event connecting farmers and consumers through food, something we can all relate to.
And it's very inexpensive, $5 for adults. Children under 12 get in free if they bring 3 canned goods to benefit Harvest Hope.
That's right. I might even let you press in a discount with 3 cans if you for Harvest Hope if y'all come out. That'd
be great. Hey, what's the latest on the Palmetto Series, the certified South Carolina Palmetto Series between the Gamecocks and the Tigers? You got an update?
We are very excited about that in the first year. For the Gamecock fans, they'll be glad it is 8-6 Carolina, and remind everyone it is probably the broadest based competition between 2 major schools in the country. Women's golf and men's football count the same thing. Everything counts a point, and the athletes' grades. We add them up, and whoever's got the higher grade point ratio at the end of the year, that's a full point. When we had the food drive last fall by the fans, that was a point. So it's a real all-encompassing program that we're doing. Very excited to work with both schools. And I'll tell you what, if you can get Carolina and Clemson to agree on anything, I might have a future with the State Department or something like that, because they are fiercely independent. But the good thing, they came together for this, really to support South Carolina agriculture, and we're having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I've been following it, and I hope we continue it down the road. And good luck this weekend, and thank you for joining us. I hope we can talk to you again soon.
All right, Phil. All right, folks. See y'all.
Thank you. That's Commissioner Hugh Weathers, South Carolina Agricultural Commissioner. I guess I should say Commissioner of Agriculture. That's the easiest way. He's been in that role since 2004. All right, want to get to Kurt Roper, USC offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, just a little while ago, talking with reporters after the Gamecocks' second workout of the spring.
The 2 practices, what timetable you want to have set to try to get down to 3? Or?
No, we haven't set a timetable yet. We're trying to do it, obviously, as quickly as we possibly can, because every rep is a valuable rep, but we want to do it with as much information to make a logical decision as best we can.
In a perfect world, you get your installation done in the spring. You maybe narrow it down in the spring, and then in the fall, it's a competition for the starting job. Or would you want more than that out of spring if you can?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's always a competition. I was reading where one coach was saying that even the meeting room is a competition, and I agree with that. The guys that are locked in, focused, and approach the meeting room is the right kind of guy. And so everything we do is a competition. But yeah, we want to get as much as we can installed through spring, figure out who we're going to be based on the talent that we have on the football team. And then obviously you have to start preparing to win football games in the fall. And that's the difference. Right now, we think players, not plays. So who can we bring along to help us?
What do you see for Connor Mitch today? It seems like he was kind of struggling early.
You know what? I think it's a guy that's still trying to learn, still trying to really figure out what's going on. But the biggest thing is he's got to take care of the football better than he is right now.
Does this remind you of your first year at Duke? What's going on right now here?
Well, any new job is that way. The difference in Duke and here is we had a guy that had been a starter for a couple of years in Thad Lewis, and we had 3 quarterbacks on the roster. So you weren't having to work through as many guys.
There you go, Kurt Roper. A little bit of him from post-practice. We'll have more of his comments as well as comments from some of the Gamecock players for you up on the website as soon as we can get to it here in a little bit. Let's see. We also talked today to David Williams and Mason Zandy and Deebo Samuel. So we will have that up on the website for you in a little bit so you can hear more from the Gamecocks from their second spring practice. They will practice again tomorrow and Saturday. And, of course, all practices right now closed to the public and the media. Coming up next, Chad Holbrook. Score big with Founders Federal Credit Union. Founders has convenient office locations on the campus of USC and a new location coming soon to Clemson, plus ATMs on the campuses of Clemson, Converse, Limestone, PC, USC, USC Lancaster, Winthrop, and York Tech. Visit foundersfcu.com for a full listing to find an ATM or an office near you. Not a member? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Founders Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA. Speaking of Founders, Founders Park will be the site of USC's SEC opener tomorrow night against Arkansas. 2 top 25 teams meeting in Columbia. The Gamecocks, of course, 17-2. Their only losses coming in the series to Clemson. Arkansas coming in with a record of 15-3. Chad Holbrook, USC coach, talking about the SEC opener.
Is the balance in the lineup encouraging going into SEC play?
Well, I love the fact that, we can put up runs like we did tonight and, Jones get a hit. And I think Alex had one single up the middle. Both those guys had no RBIs and we still put up 15 runs. I think we have a pretty deep team. And it's good to get production like we got tonight down the bottom of our lineup. I'm encouraged by what we've been doing offensively the last couple of nights, and hopefully we can carry that into the weekend. Obviously, we're going to have to be at our best against the pitching staff that we'll see starting on Friday.
Kind of going off of that, how important is it to be, kind of have some momentum, 7-game winning streak, and then this offensive outburst going into it?
Well, I hope our guys got some confidence and they feel good about their swings and that kind of thing. But this is as we all know, it's a different animal starting on Friday. We have. You have 30 opportunities and you're not going to out-talent people. You're not going to, necessarily be the better team on the field. You have to outplay people, and you have to play better. You have to execute better. You have to play defense. You have to throw strikes. And you have to do it consistently through the course of 30 games to have a good regular season, because you're going to take some lumps. And but hopefully we can continue to play consistent baseball and give ourselves a fair chance to win our fair share. And if we do, we have a chance to have a really good year. But a lot of good teams in this league, and our schedule is very, very difficult. So we're just going to take it one game at a time, and we'll start on Friday night and try to play our best baseball on Friday.
Well, what do you know about this Arkansas team? How does it differ from some of their teams in the recent past?
Well, I know that, with Jackson, obviously if they got a lead late in the game, it's very, very difficult because he's probably the most dominant closer in college baseball. Toccolini's he's going to get them off to a good start. He's very good and got good numbers. He's going to make you beat. Arkansas, they're very well coached, and Coach Van Horn's done a great job for a long period of time. You have to beat those guys. You have to out-execute them. They're not going to give you the game. They're very well schooled. They're very competitive offensively from 1 to 9. You can't give them free bases, and that goes to about every team in the league. But in our battles with Arkansas over the years, you just have to play good, sound baseball and good defense and not give them anything. If you don't play defense and you give them free bases via the walk or error, you're in for a long night. And they got Shady, the Carson Shaddy kid that's got 5 home runs, and Egan, and we know a lot of these guys. Bernal. I mean, they got some guys that can hit the ball out of the park. They steal some bases. They put pressure on you defensively with a short game. And they have power arms on their pitching staff. So obviously we'll have our work cut out for us. They're ranked in the top 10 or 12 in the country for a reason. But luckily we get them at home, and it's going to take our best baseball of the year to have a shot starting on Friday night.
I think a week or two ago you described the first 3 opponents in the league as murderer's row. I mean, as a coach, do you think you're going to find out a lot about your team over the next 3 weekends, especially with 2 of them on the road, being at Ole Miss and at Vanderbilt?
Well, honestly, my 100% of my focus and attention is on Arkansas on Friday night. And I tell our team that and this is true, you can't get too far ahead of yourself in this league. If you look at the schedule, it can. I mean, yeah, it's difficult. And as a coach, I've done that. But I'm telling my team, we're taking this thing one game at a time, and try to play our best baseball on Friday. You know, you can look at it and you say you play 10 3-game series. I tell our team, no, it's 31-game series, and that's just how I feel. Because if you lose a tough one, which you'll lose a tough one over the course of time in this league, you can't bring that loss to the park the next day.
Chad Holbrook, back in a moment. All right, Tar Heels up 35-26, 6:56 to go in the first half of their game. Sports Talk, our final minutes, presented by South Carolina's 529 College Savings Plan. Future Scholar is the smart way to save for a loved one's education, and tax time is a perfect time to invest. Visit FutureScholar.com. Future Scholar is administered by the Office of State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Danny the Dookie wants to know why I hate Duke so much. I don't hate Duke. I hate Duke fans. I hate the Duke people. Yeah. You know, you're such snobs, Danny. So snob. You act like the basketball championship's a birthright. It's yours. It belongs to you. As long as Coach K. Hey, let me tell you something, pal. Coach K is not going to be there much longer. Okay? And you don't have, like North Carolina did, you don't have, except for the little stumble they had when Matt Doherty was there, do you have the transition, the smooth transition lined up to step in to replace him to keep it going once he's gone?
I mean, every one of those guys on this bench played for him, didn't he? I mean,
Johnny Dawkins needs a job. Who figures to be the heir apparent for K? You think it's Wojo? Wojo's where? Marquette now?
Marquette.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what, I mean, the most successful of his former assistants is Mike Bray at Notre Dame. There's no way you can. No way he'd leave Notre Dame to follow K.
No,
at Duke,
because he's built his own thing there at Notre Dame, and and they say, well, don't you want to coach in the ACC? Oh, I'm already there.
That's right. Yeah, that's true.
So
came in the back door, but he was already there.
Came in the back door, but
hey, this is my other. Here's my other upset. It's very early. I picked Chattanooga to beat Indiana.
Okay.
That's a 12-5. Yeah, I picked Chattanooga to beat Indiana, and Indiana's up 3 late in the first half.
Ooh, anytime. See, that's
Chattanooga's really good.
They are really
Yeah,
good.
they're really good.
And let's face it, as I tell people, when you get in the tournament or any type of athletic competition, I don't think there's really that big a difference between a major blowout and winning a ball game. You know, for instance, if you're Indiana, if you don't blow out Chattanooga and you let them stay in the game, they'll win it. So you got to have to. This is why Roy Williams is standing there worried, because he said, well, wait a minute. You mean to tell me we're only leading Gulf Coast by 7? I want a lead. I want a double-digit lead to put the fear in them that they don't have a chance to come back.
Well, tomorrow night we will be coming to you from Myrtle Beach High School. That is where they will have the skills competition, the annual skills competition for the Carolinas All-Star Basketball Classic between North and South Carolina boys and girls. The top seniors in the state will be there from the public schools. And we'll have a dunk contest, three-point shooting contest, and the like. And, of course, the games will be on Saturday over at the Socastee High School. So we look forward to bringing that game to light to you tomorrow night here on Sports Talk. Have a great night. Good luck with your brackets. We'll see you tomorrow.